want to start by saying Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yaharushai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yaharushai, Kahala Yahweh Ba'ashem Yaharushai, Kahala Yahweh Ba'ashem Yaharushai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this doctrine in truth and sincerity. Shalom to elect. The Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh, which means He is or He exists. Ba'ashem, in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. We know His name to be Yaharushai, which means He is the deliverer, He is the Savior for the Hebrew Israelites and the pedigree of their Father. Ba'ashem, in the name of the Rakak Wadash, which means the Holy Spirit, that's able to give us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of who we are, which are the true Hebrew Israelites. If you so-called Negro, so-called Latino, so-called Native American, or other speckled bird, looking like the other nations in your spirit, bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yaharushai, then you could be one of the elect. Shalom. We would discontinue from our heritage because we went off following into false gods and false idols, not following the law, such a commandments that was given to us by our forefathers. And because of those offenses, we were sent into captivity. But through our Lord Yaharushai, Hamashiach, being that perfect sacrifice in the flesh to the Heavenly Father, that He has been given all power to be able to sit on the right-hand side of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, to be able to open the seals of the Holy Scriptures, to be able to give the understanding to the very elect, the ones that would hear this word and be able to return back to Yahweh Shema Ashai in truth and sincerity in the things they say and the things they do, and would be able to understand the spirit of prophecy, which is the spirit of our Lord Yaharushai Hamashiach in His second coming. That there's going to be a time of great destruction, a time of great woes and sorrows and mournings, and in great wrath, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is going to come down like a flood, okay, with his devices, okay, with his schemes, with his enchantments, to be able to deceive the people, okay, to believe that He is the Most High, okay, to believe that He does have immortality, okay, which these are all false. Esau Edom is nothing but a mortal man, okay, set up to be able to fitted up to be that vessel of wrath fitted for destruction. Okay, and that is Esau Edom. It's not Japheth. Japheth is not the so-called white man, okay, of today, the ones that are in power. Japheth has nowhere in the prophecies, concerning what rulership. Okay, and what you have going on is false prophets that are speaking on things that they don't know about. As far as the people that are in power is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. The people that are at the bottom is what the Israelites. Those are the two main people in the Israelites, or the so-called Negro, so-called Latino, so-called Native Americans. Those are the two people in the movie. The rest of the people are just extras, okay, like Japheth. But that's that false doctrine to bring in, okay, more deception, okay. But the elect are what not to see. We understand that Esau Edom is in power. Okay, he's in rulership, and he's bringing it, and he's showing it by what his pseudoscience, okay, his digital ID, his social credit score, his carbon allowance. Okay, people are not afraid of what Japheth, which would be the so-called, so-called Hawaiians of today, or the so-called Samoans of today. Okay, and going back to where Romans, took over, okay, Japheth's land. Okay, just like they've done throughout the four corners of the earth of today. Okay, back then in the ancient Roman Empire, they took over the land of Japheth. Okay, and then they took over their customs, right? Esau Edom. Okay, then they were Esau Edom was brought down, right, for that 1,000-year period, and now they're back again to be able to fulfill prophecy that they would be down for a 1,000-year period, but the Lord would raise up the basis of men, which Esau Edom is, the so-called white man is, okay, and give him the fatness of the earth, control of the money system. Japheth don't control none of the money system, okay. The so-called white man does, right? He don't make legislation. He's not known for the sword. These other nations are not saying, hey, we need to get rid of these Japhetic people. They're saying we need to get rid of the Carl Schwab, the Bill Gates, which are the so-called white man. Who has that pale-faced image? Esau Edom. Okay, of covering the faces of the judges thereof, covering up those dark images. Okay, and the reason why I say that, because I was on the highways and the byways, and a man will slip with his tongue, but not with his heart. Okay, and when I was speaking about Japheth, I was saying they're not, you know, the people that are over in that land are not what Esau, okay, but they actually are, because they are the Russians. The Russians are what the Eastern Edomites, and you have what the Western Edomites that control America. Then you have the Eastern Edomites that are over there in Russia, okay, that are what occupying that land, the land of what Magog, okay. When you go to Ezekiel 38, it goes to what Gog, okay, which is what that land of what Russia, okay, that Russia's in right now, that occupies, which was the land of Japheth, okay, and when you go into that word Magog, it means the land of Gog, okay, but that's speaking about Russia today. They occupy that land because again, Esau Edom is in power, not Japheth, okay, and so I just want to be able to correct that and make sure that that's out there, because we understand that what there's a lot of deception out there. Okay, and you have to have what a truthful heart, and when you make a mistake, say correction. Okay, now, okay, so going into what the WEF confirms digital ID on Heterer H bar. Okay, and this is Esau Edom showing who he is, not Japheth. Okay, because Japheth has no place in what rulership, no place in what authority. Okay, they are just what a heathen nation that's what set up to be destroyed, set up to be what under what the Israelites. Okay, and what Esau Edom is trying to do is what bring in his new world order. Okay, and when you go to Second Ezra, this is also a scripture that cuts anybody that comes with that doctrine that Ron Dalton has, right? Of Second Ezra, and I brought out the scripture, right? Second Ezra 6:9. For Esau is the end of the world. And who's Esau? Esau is the forefather of what Edom. When you go to Genesis 36, okay, Edom goes into red, having leprosy. Okay, Japheth is what a dark skinned nation. Okay, a dark brown nation, right? They're not what the that pale face image that you see of Caesar Borgia, showing you again that they're not in power. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that fall, and Jacob is what you Israelites. Okay, so this is the end of what Esau Edom's rulership is eon, and this is what he would come to do to deceive the people, because he knew that he had but a short time, so he would come with what his pseudoscience. Okay, but the Lord would raise up the prophets to be able to speak this truth. Okay, to be able to give the warning whether the people will hear or forbear. Okay, so let me let this play. Because according to a lot of reports, the world economic forum is Slacky. Let me get two scriptures, because this is the time when, again, the man of sin would be revealed, okay, which is what Esau Edom, the so-called white man of today, okay, not Japheth. Revelation 22:10, and he said to me, seal not the sayings of prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. Yeah, the time is at hand when these things will be rolled out. So seal, we're not supposed to hide it, okay? We're supposed to give the warning, whether people will hear or forbear, because you have most people are not going to believe. Okay, but the thing is that you believe. We believe in Yahweh Shema Shai. We believe Esau Edom is in rulership. Okay, we believe that the Lord has given us the mysteries and the secrets to be able to speak this word, to be able to prophesy, to say before. Okay, and these things are happening in real time. Ezekiel 3:17, Son of man, I've made thee a watchman to the house of Israel. Why to the Israelites? Because those are the chosen line: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Okay, so in Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, also going back to Esau being what they're Hebrews, okay, but the thing is where the line changes is what with Jacob, okay, so Abraham, Isaac, what Jacob, you have Jacob and what Esau, okay, the word Jacob means in the Hebrew Yaquab, okay, so he what supplanted, okay, Esau for what the birthright. These would be the two ruling classes as far as Esau Edom, right? He would be in power, and then Jacob would be what thereafter, as I just read in 2 Ezra 6:9. So the Lord is what setting up watchmen to be able to watch for what prophecy, the Esau Edom's downfall. Okay, Son of man, I've made thee a watchman to the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth. Right, give them warning from me. So the Lord's mouthpiece is what the prophets. Okay, they would be revealing what the man of sin would be, who he is. Okay, what is his agenda? okay, what the hopeful elect could be able to do to see salvation. Okay, 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then the wicked will be revealed, right? Which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the one that's on the back of your dollar bill, right? The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, the DuPonts, the Warburgs, the Schiffs, the ones that control the earth. Okay, even these other heathen nations, when they think about the so-called white man, they speak about him as the devil. They don't even speak about Japheth as anything. Okay, 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then the wicked will be revealed, whom the Lord Yahushua shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So the spirit of the Lord's mouth is with the prophets. Okay, that would be what speaking wisdom and making everything what clear to those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. Right? Proverbs 2:6, for Yahweh giveth wisdom out of his mouth, so out of the prophet's mouth, because they have the mysteries of the holy scriptures. Cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to the walk uprightly. So not everybody's going to walk uprightly. Not everybody's going to walk down the straight path. You're going to have more false prophets than you do true men of the Lord. But the point is that the Lord is what giving the wisdom to the prophets to be able to speak it into existence, and what the Lord's flock would what hear the message and return back to the Lord because they fear the Lord. Amos 3:7, show that Lord that power would do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets to his servants, the prophets. So in those secrets being revealed, okay, one of them being, Esau, Edom is the so-called white man. Okay, he is the wicked. He is that lawless man, and that we are the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, that's detrimental to what Esau, Edom's rulership. Okay, those that are in power, knowing who your identity is and also knowing who they are. Okay, and that's what hewing Esau, Edom society. Okay, that's why the Lord set up watchmen to be able to hew this place. Okay, to be able to speak of the downfall of our enemies. Revelation 1:3, blessed is he that readeth and heareth the words of prophecy and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Yeah, the time is at hand when these things would happen. But you have to have the correct message. You have to have the sound doctrine. Habakkuk 2:3 in the NLT, start from 2 NLT. Then the Lord Yahweh said to me, write my answer plainly on the tablet, so the scriptures, okay, so that the runner, which are the prophets, right, the apostles, right, can carry the correct message to others. Yeah, so others that are in the truth, others that would believe, because that's really who it's for. It's for the elect. It's not for all the Israelites. It's for only the elect of Israel. This vision is for a future time. It describes the end. It will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently for it. It will surely take place. It will not be delayed. And it's not delaying. It's actually what's speeding up, because every day there's new articles on biometrics, digital ID, metaverse, artificial intelligence, right? Which is all what gradualism ultimately to the physical chip being inside the people's head. Habakkuk 2:4, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Okay, speaking about Esau, Edom, he doesn't have an upright heart, right? He's the vessel of wrath for destruction. The very word Esau means wasted away he is. And Edom goes into what being red, going into leprosy, him being translucent. Okay, and that they would Revelation 6:4, that red horse, right, symbolic to Esau, Edom, symbolic to what to them being in power, okay, would come up and fight one against another. So you have the Eastern Edomites that control what America, Babylon the Great, and then you have what the Western you have the Western Edomites that control Babylon the Great, okay, America, right, which is that whore, okay, that sits upon the beast, the revival of the Roman Empire, okay, which is what Esau, Edom, okay, would come up against what the Eastern Edomites that control what Russia, okay, which Russia is what the chief, which is in the Hebrew Rayash, the head summit of all these other heathen nations. Okay, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, which you also have Iran and North Korea. And then what are they doing? They're coming up to fight one against another. Okay, that's going into World War III because they want control over what the people, they all want what that chip inside the people's hand or the forehead. And what America is what leading that charge as far as that united pact for the future, as far as a digital cooperation, okay, which is headed by what Esau, Edom, because he is what the one that's in power, that's been given the fatness of the earth, right? Habakkuk 2 and 4, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yeah, the just, which is the hopeful elect. Okay? It says, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, so his philosophies. Okay, one of those philosophies being that the so-called white man is Japhet. That's a false philosophy. That's an intoxication. Okay, that Ron Dalton, that guy, Hebrews to Negroes, wrote I believe it was a book or something like that, then became a documentary. Okay, which that's false doctrine. Okay, because Esau, Edom is the one that's in power, and the hopeful elect would know that. Okay, we would know him by his actions. Okay, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, his philosophies. He is a proud man, neither keepeth that hope. Yeah, so who's in everybody's habitation? Is it Japheth, or is it Esau, Edom, the so-called white man that's going in these different places and coming with that sword? Okay, putting down all rulership and authority in these different places, because the Lord has given them the fatness of the earth and to rule with that sword. Okay, and then to be able to manipulate through their sorcery. Okay. It says, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth that home. He enlarged his desire as hell. Yeah, hell is a condition played out on earth. Okay, look at the Jake neighborhoods, right? That's infested with drugs, infested with guns. Who brings in that? Is it Japheth or is it Esau Edom, the so-called white man? It's Esau Edom. Who's the one that's in? Whenever you've seen a Japhetic president, okay, you haven't. You've seen all Edomites or all, right? Okay, besides Obama, but he was another heathen. All you see is what heathen is in rulership. Okay, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He is large his desire as hell, and as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heap unto him all people. So he's gathered all these nations to follow his new world order, to follow what his image, to worship him. Okay, people will actually worship the so-called white man. Even our own people do. Okay, they don't even know who Japheth is. Okay, and I'm making that point because you have that false doctrine out there. Okay, and you have to have the truth. Okay, and no lie is of the truth, right? And you have men being deceptive. They're not standing upon that rock, which is that solid foundation. Okay, they'll know a little bit and then they'll try to dabble the world in it and then bring that bullshit as confusion. But this is what's coming upon the line. Yeah, 444, call Yahweh Shema Shai. So this is from a guy, Crypto AI Man, right? WEF confirms digital ID. Okay. So this came out April 30th, so let me let it play.
World Economic Forum is going to use this for social credit scoring and carbon allowance.
Let me go back a little bit. Because this is what's going on. This is the man of sin. He's revealing himself. Okay, that he is a God when he's just a mortal man. Okay, this guy's going into it.
To power digital identities for the entire world, and the World Economic Forum is using HR, officially confirmed everyone. But there are some concerns about this digital ID, because according to a lot of reports, the World Economic Forum is going to use this for social credit scoring and carbon allowances. So, for example, in this report by the World Economic Forum, titled Advancing Digital Agency, they speak about digital IDs. Now, why is this important? Because in this report, they mention how in the future, digital IDs can literally be placed within your body, literally embedded in your body, devices, homes, and cities. So digital IDs will be a part of everything. They will literally put it inside your body. So that way they can track almost everything that you do, that you consume, that you say. And according to the WEF, they want to put it in your body. And the World Economic Forum's digital ID will encompass every aspect of your life. Yes, listen to this. For those who think the Great Reset is not going to control every aspect of your life, let me give you a couple of things. They are now taking the next step to shape global, regional, and industry agendas, end quote, with a new digital ID system.
Under the framework, the WEF proposes collecting data from many aspects of people's everyday lives. That's a quote. Through their devices, telecommunication networks, and third-party service providers,
including your body. They will have devices within your body to track everything. Confirmed by the WEF. This is not a conspiracy. They're telling us what they want to do. Their plan is literally in front of us for all of us to see.
The WEF suggests that this data collection dragnet would allow a digital ID. Now listen to this, it's very narrow. It would allow a digital ID to scoop up data on people's online behavior, purchase history, network usage, credit history, biometrics, names, national identity numbers, and medical history. Plus your travel history, social accounts, e-government accounts, bank accounts, energy uses, health stats, education, and I love this one, and more. What's left? Once the digital ID has access to this huge, highly personal set of data, the WEF proposes using it to decide whether users are allowed to, quote, own and use devices, quote, open bank accounts, quote, carry out online financial transactions, quote, conduct business transaction, quote, access insurance and treatment or trips.
Okay. So, let me let it play a little bit, because I believe he's...
Still quoting, go through border control between countries or regions. Still quoting, access third.
Now, if someone is a criminal and they deserve not to be able to buy a home or travel and they deserve to be punished, that's good. This digital ID can help with that. But when innocent people get punished, or they cannot buy a home or get a loan or travel or turn on their car or get a device, they can even stop you from getting a device. So when innocent people get hurt in this new system, that's when it's wrong. So there needs to be some safety net.
Okay. And again, why are they doing this? Because they want to track and trace you. Okay, your every movement, what you do and where you're going. Right? This is why King David said this in Psalm 17. Okay. Psalm 17:1. Hear the right Yahweh, attend unto my cry. Give ear unto my prayer that goeth not unfinged lips. Okay, honest lips. Okay, admitting your sins and the things that you've done. Right? Skipping down. It says 5 in the NLT. My steps have stayed on the path, right? Go down that straight path. I have not wavered from following you. So we're not wavering from following Yahweh Shema Shai, even though we see this devil coming with these wicked devices. Okay, coming with, where they can be able to cut off your resources, your food, your water, and your shelter. Okay? I am praying to you because I know you will answer, O power. Bend down and listen as I pray. So you have to know the Lord's name to actually pray directly to him. And that name is what? Yahweh, and his only begotten son's name is what? Yahweh Shai. Okay? Show me your unfailing love and wonderful ways. Yeah, unfailing love, because we don't even deserve this truth. We could be in a state of darkness, like you have these 2/3 Israelites talking about, oh, Japheth is the so-called white man. That means that they don't have any love in them, because they don't know who who's in power, which is Esau, Edom. Okay, so the Lord's showing us our love by giving us the truth, showing me your unfailing love and wonderful ways by your mighty power. You rescue those who seek refuge from their enemies, and that's what we're doing. We're seeking refuge. We're not trying to make books. We're not trying to be famous. Okay, we're seeking out refuge from our enemies, because we see them coming down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. 8, guard me as you would guard your own eyes. Hide me in the shadow of thy wings. Protection. Protect me from the wicked people who attack me, from the murderous enemies who surround me. Aren't they surrounding us? Okay, again, on May 7th, right, you have coming up in 4 days, right, where you have the real ID. Okay, which is a digital real ID, where it's digital, okay, and you have to be able to travel, to fly, you have to have that real ID, that digital real ID, okay, and also to be able to go to federal offices, you have to have that real ID coming May 7th, okay, that's the way to be able to track you, okay, protect me in a way that they can be able to bring it in, just through the immigration. Okay, which is through the order out of Kale. They brought in all the people, the so-called immigrants in all these different nations, right? And now they want to be able to identify them. But really, that's to identify each and every person with a digital ID, with the biometrics, which a biometrics is basically uniquely identifiable to each person, through their facial recognition, through their pay with their palm. And like the guy was saying, I'm going to go back to that video, Okay, the device being inside your hand, which is going into Revelation 13 and 16. That's our enemies, what's surrounding us, creating what atonement. Okay, creating what the rage, the commotion around the different areas. Okay, when all hell breaks loose, right, they can be able to lock it down. Okay, to be able to come in with martial law and take you away because of what their executive orders, their draconian measures that they're coming with. They are without pity. Listen to their boasting. So they are boasting in what their devices. Okay, they're doubling down. You have the guy Sam Ottoman with WorldCoin, where that's being put in what America. You have them boasting in what their Bitcoin. Okay, and boasting in what their cryptocurrency. Okay, boasting in what their science. Okay, their vain babblings, because that's really what it is. It's vain babblings. Okay, because they're pushing what they're using to justify it through their science. Okay, that there's what we need the climate change. Okay, that we need which climate change is nothing but the depopulation of the people. Okay, that they want to track your carbon emissions. Okay, as far as every time you breathe, they want to be able to charge you for that. Okay, so they are what boasting in what their technology, they're boasting in what their devices. Okay, and we have to rest. We have to rest in what Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay, because this devil is going to bring what Slakia. This devil is going to bring wicked devices to pass. Okay, Psalms 37 and 7, Psalm 17 and 11. They track me down. This is the point. They track me down and surround me. So how are they tracking? They tracking the people by their debit cards, by their credit cards, okay, by your phones, the things that you like, the things that you subscribe to. They are already putting things in categories. Okay, whether you can be able to be, basically, changed over when all hell breaks loose, or you're not going to bow down and they have to execute you. So they track me down and surround me, watching for the chance to throw me down to the ground, to their pits, which is to their FEMA camps, right? It says they are like hungry lions, eager to tear me apart, and like young lions hiding in ambush. Yeah, like hungry lions. Okay, they're sitting in their den, right, which is what their their big brother, watching you from their cameras, watching everything that Jake is doing. Okay, watching our videos, and they are like hungry lions, eager to tear me apart, like young lions hiding in ambush. Arise, O Yahweh, stand against them, bring them to their knees, rescue me from the wicked, which is thy sword. And who is the wicked? Malachi 1 and 4, the border of wickedness. Okay, that they shall what? Build, right? But the Lord shall what? Put down. Okay, Malachi 1 and 4, right? And this is another cut to what Ron Dalton's saying that Japheth is a so-called white man, right? Malachi 1 and 4 and 3. It says, and I hated Esau. So the Lord what? Hates Esau, which is the so-called white man of today. It doesn't say he hates Japheth. Now, Japheth is a heathen nation. Okay, so they are a bucket of spittle. Okay, but the Lord hates Esau, right? And laid his mountains, his heritage waste, and for the dragons of the wilderness. Where is Edom, right? Said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. So when they were taken down in the Roman Empire, right, which the Roman Empire, right, took over that land of Japheth, right, and then they took over their certain customs, okay, but those the Roman Empire is going back to what Esau, Edom, okay, the so-called white man, and this America is what the revival of the Roman Empire, which is the Edomite nations, Edom going into what? Red. So whereas Edom said we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places, and that's what they have. They built up what? America. Okay, starting what? May 1st, 1776, they were able to have Adam Weishaupt write the letter basically on how they can be able to control the world, control the hospitals, control the school system, control the people, ultimately bringing in the New World Order. Okay, but we will return and build the desolate places, thus said Yahweh of hosts. Thou shalt build, but I will throw down. And that started in what the Renaissance art, which is the rebirth of the Roman Empire in about the mid-1300s. Okay, where the basis of men, the Lord raised up the basis of men to be in what? Power. Okay, where they were in the Russia, Georgia, Caucasus Mountains, eating their underwear until it rotted off. Okay, eating juniper roots and eating lice and things like that. Right, living like cavemen, speaking like cavemen. So the Lord raised up the basis of men to be able to what? Show his power. Okay, when this devil is what? Thrown down, because no one believes, the only people that believe that Esau, Edom can be thrown down is what? The hopeful elect. Okay, So they've had built up everything, coming with their breaking down the strongholds of that Jake had in power, covering the faces of the judges thereof, coming with their iconoclasm. Okay, then being able to get America in 1776. Okay, where they established what their basically their America. Okay, and they've been able to dominate America, which is Babylon the Great, throughout the four corners of the earth through their three basically their three unclean spirits like a frog. Okay, through America's military, the hammer of the earth. Okay, the Vatican over there in Rome, right, with their religious part where they're able to control the people, and through their monetary system over there in London. That's why you have the obelisk, okay, in these three different city states. Okay, going back to the worship of ancient Egypt. Okay, going into their idol worship, right? They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. And the people against them said, Yahweh had indignation forever. So it says Esau, Edom, indignation forever. So who's going to be in power at the latter days? Esau, Edom. Okay, when Jacob is in power, there's going to be nothing but righteousness, peace. Okay, everybody's going to know who they are. And right now, what that covering cast over the people is being exposed, that we are the Israelites and these are the heathen nations. Okay, the Lord again has given us the mysteries, that they are tracking us down on a every step, and they are coming with their science. 1 Timothy 6 and 20. Yeah, 1 Timothy 6 and 19. Laying up in store for themselves a good foundation. Let's start right here. 1 Timothy 6 and 18 in the NLT. Tell them to use this money to do good. They should be rich in good works and generous to those in need, always being ready to share with others. And that's what the men of the Lord will be doing. We're sharing with others the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that the Lord has given us. Freely as you given, freely as you receive. Okay, you've been given this great wisdom, and you're supposed to speak it to the very elect. Not everybody's going to receive it. Okay, actually, most people are not going to receive it. But the fact is that you're speaking good words. You're not speaking idle words. 1 Timothy 6 and 19. By doing this, we'll be storing up the treasure as good foundation for the future, so that they may experience true life. Yeah, true life. Being under Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is not true life, because he's constantly oppressing you in whatever way. Whether he's oppressing your woman, you're oppressed at your job, the foods that you eat, okay, the things that you believe in. He is contrary to those. Okay, so the Lord is taking him out of the way by having us speak this word, and it's hewing his foundation, as far as it's putting him in a strait where he's being exposed on all ends. 1 Timothy 6 and 20. O Timothy, keep which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called. So vain things. Because what's that vain thing? They're New World Order. Okay, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine many things? So they imagine that they can be able to put a chip inside somebody, which is what's strange to our doctrine, because we're supposed to have no cuttings in that flesh, right, and have no graven images before the Lord. So profane means outside the temple. Okay, and they are coming with profane things with their devices. So this is vain babblings.
Strong's G 2757.
Canaphonia, empty discussion. So their science and their New World Order is empty discussion, because it's not going to amount to anything, because it's not built upon that rock, which is Yahweh Shemashai. It's built upon sand. So when the storms come, it's going to be in a whirlwind. Discussion of vain and useless matters. Yeah, vain and useless matters, because again, if it's not of the Lord, it's empty sounding, fruitless. Okay, right? Fruitless. It's not fruit for its prosperity. It's it's going to be in a strait. Okay, empty sounding. Yeah, empty sounding discussion, because they're just beating against the pricks. Okay, so oppositions of falsely so called. So this word science.
Strong's G 1108. Gnosis.
Okay, so knowledge signifies in general intelligence, understanding. Okay, but they don't give the glory to Yahweh Shemashai. They give the glory to themselves, and the Lord despises pride. Okay, so they have a general intelligence, but they don't have the true understanding of it because they're just looking for that vain thing. They're looking at they can be gods. They can be able to control everybody. They can have full power. Yeah, the knowledge and the science. Okay, so again, it's not of the Lord. Let's see what this is.
Strong's G 1097. Gnosko.
Okay, in the Greek 1097, to learn, to know, to come to know, to get knowledge of, perceive. To understand, and all they know is that it's going to cause misery upon the people. Okay, and they're just fulfilling prophecy. So we're supposed to avoid those vain babblings. Let's read this in the NLT. Timothy, guard which thy power has entrusted to you, which is the truth. Avoid godless, foolish discussions with those who oppose you with so-called knowledge. Some people have wandered from the faith by following such foolishness. May our power's grace be with you all. Yeah, so all that, the ones that actually believe. Okay, the ones that don't get caught up in what Esau Edom is doing, what his pseudoscience. Read this again, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8. And then the wicked will be revealed, which is Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the one that's in power right now, the one that's been given the fatness of the earth and the control of that sword. Okay, the one that's telling you that they want to chip inside your hand. They're openly telling you on the WEF. Okay, as the guy just brought out the article, whom the Lord Yahushua shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which are the prophets. We would be speaking the truth. Okay, and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The Lord's going to want to destroy any type of rulership that Esau Edom thinks he's going to have. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders. So when you go into this word lying, it goes into the Greek word pseudos. And they're coming with those lying wonders because you have those 3 patients of Neuralink, okay, that, had, they were paraplegic. They got into a diving accident. Okay, and now they're able to move their ligaments. You have people that weren't able to see. Now they took the chip. Now they're able to see. Okay, so that's what their signs and lying wonders. Okay, and people want that technology because they're in pain. Because again, they're in Esau Edom's rulership. Okay, when you have a person that can never see, now they might have a chance to be able to see. They're gonna take that chance, right? Because going into you never trust that enemy. They don't know who their enemy is. They think this guy is always, is a nice guy.
Strong's G 5579. Pseudos.
Okay, pseudos. A lie, a conscious, intentional falsehood. So when you go to Psalms 144, it speaks about the right hand of falsehood. Okay, they're coming with straight up lies, straight up vanity. Okay, because they want their new world order and they'll do anything to be able to achieve it. They're not worried about shedding innocent blood. Okay, and particularly they're not worried about you Israelites because they have a perpetual hatred towards you. Okay, going back to the womb. Genesis, right? Genesis 25, Genesis 27. Okay. So this is a broad sense. Whatever is not what it seems to be. Perverse, impious, deceitful precepts. Yeah, perverse. Because there is what? Outside the temple. Impious means you reverence many gods. They reverence themselves as a god. Okay? Or they see themselves as gods when they're just mortal men. Okay? While the men of the Lord, the hopeful elect, they would be pious. They would be hollow in thy name. We have one power, which is Yahweh, and we have his only begotten son's name, only begotten son, which is our intercessor to be able to get to Yahweh, which is Yahushua. And you would know that if you had the Holy Spirit, the Rakak Wadash, supping with you. Okay, so this guy is coming with impious what spirit? Okay. And let's get the word Satan, because Esau Edom is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon of Satan.
Strong's G 4567. Satanas. Thayer's lexicon. Satan.
Okay. The prince of evils. Okay. The adversary, one who opposes another. So who do they oppose? Yahweh Shemashai. They are what? Anti-Messiah. That's why they're pushing their science, circumventing men by the wiles. Yeah, the wiles is the craftiness of this devil. Okay, these different schemes, these fables, right? It's all to what? To deceive the true men of the Lord and cast away their cords from the Lord. Okay, and this is the point. Satan, like a man, and that's Esau, Edom. They are the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon of Satan. Okay, they're actually demonic spirits what working miracles. Revelation 16. Revelation 16 and 14. For they are the spirits of devils. And what does devil mean? Deceiver. Okay, they have deceived the whole world, thinking that these are good people, that these are actually people of the holy scriptures, but they are of the scriptures, but they are the wicked of the scriptures. Okay, and which is Esau, Edom. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth. So these different leaders and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of the great day of the Most High Almighty. So they're gathering going into World War III. What are they fighting over? The resources to be able to bring in that chip. But first, that chip has to be what mandated. Then the missiles are going to fire as far as all-out World War III. Okay? Let's read this in the NLT. They are demonic spirits. They're actually demonic spirits. They actually pray. Okay? They actually sacrifice to their idols. Okay? To Baal on the left-hand side. Do all sorts of sacrifices, enchantments, and sorcery. They are demonic spirits, which is Esau, Edom, who work miracles. Yeah, so the miracles, they're pseudoscience. Okay, they have the brain implant. They're saying that it's been successful. Now they want to push it on everybody to track and trace their everyday movements and go out to the rulers of the world to gather them for the battle against the Lord on the great day of judgment day of the Most High Almighty. So that's what they're doing. That's why you have these different heathen nations. They have space forces, SpaceX 6 here in America. Then you have China, Russia, right? All these different nations, they also have these space stations. Why? Because they're going to want to fight against the Lord. Okay, they know the Lord's coming, right? How do they know? Through the prophets being on the highways and the byways. Okay, the man of sin being revealed. Okay, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 10. With all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them, they perish because they receive not the love of truth, that they might be saved. So the 2/3 Israelites, right, they receive not the love of truth, meaning that they didn't hear this word. So they're going to believe the lies. They're going to believe what this devil says, and they're going to be deceived unto give consent to take that physical chip. And this cause our power shall send them strong delusion they should believe a lie. So they'll believe these false doctrines instead of believing the true men of the Lord. Well, we're telling you that the mark of the beast is something physical they want to embed inside the people's hand or forehead. Okay, we're openly telling you what in public, but it's really only for the elect. That all might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. Yeah, so you're going to be condemned. Okay, they will be condemned for enjoying evil rather than believing the truth. Yeah, believing the truth because the truth shall set you free. Okay, but being in darkness is going to lead to more and more destruction. Let me go back to this video. I want to get one more point. We're speaking about, let's see, they're right about here. Okay, it says WEF announced, I remember doing a video about this when it came out, right? Pseudomyce, right? Which digital ID system with plans for social credit score and carbon allowance. So again, that's their science. As far as their carbon allowance, you have to pay for how many times you breathe. Okay, your social credit score, you can't just say whatever that you want. Okay, and that goes back to the word we were just in there, pseudomyce, which is what pseudos. Let me get that real quick. Let me go back to that. Okay, this word, lying. Yeah, so you go to the root word. So pseudos means a conscious, intentional falsehood. So when you go to the root word, pseudomai, okay, which is the same thing that was in that article, pseudomai, right? To lie, to speak deliberate falsehoods, to deceive one by a lie. Okay, and that's what they're doing. They have deceived the whole world. Okay, but who's exposing them? The true men of the Lord. And so going into where they want to track everybody, right? This is Revelation 12 and 10. Revelation 12 and 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, the kingdom of our power and the power of the Messiah, for the accuser of thy brethren is cast down, which accuses them before our power day and night. Okay, this is also another cut to Ron Dalton and his false doctrine. Okay, that's saying that Japheth is a so-called white man. Okay, because who was Jacob's brother? Esau. Okay, it was Esau and Jacob. It wasn't Japheth and, and Jacob. Okay, just to make the point clear. Okay, so the accuser of thy brethren is what? Esau Edom. He is our brother, but he is the wicked brother. Okay, so when you go into the word accuser, right, it goes into the Greek categories. Again. Yeah, so the word accuse, Slakia.
Strong's G 2725. Kategeras. Kategeras.
Okay, Kategeras.
Thayer's lexicon, related entry. Kategor. Kategor.
Okay, so accuser. So what are they charging us with? Sedition, extremists, radicalists, when we're just bringing out the truth. Our weapons of warfare are not carnal. Our job is to bring out the truth, and the Lord will cover us and give us refuge in Yahweh Shemashai when all hell is breaking loose. Okay, categories, right? So you go to the root word right here, G58, agarra. Okay.
Strong's G58, agarra. Agarra.
Okay, an assembly, especially a people. So who's that? Especially a people. Those are 193 countries that consulted together to bring in the United Nations Pact for the future. Okay, which is the dollar, where the dollar bill is going away, the petrodollar is going away, the fiat currency is going away, and everything is going digital. Central banking digital currency, which will be governed by what? A blockchain. Starting what? Esau Edom, Psalms 83, that crafty council. So those would be the people that would be judging, assembly of people. Okay, that would be judging whether you can be able to buy and sell. Okay, the place of assembly for debating, to fight your case, because you believe in something, right? They can be able to execute you through their draconian measures. For trials, you're going to be put on trial. The elections, okay, you're going to be put on trial for what you believe in. Okay, and if you don't have that chip inside of you, you're not going to be able to buy and sell. Okay, agarra, buying and selling. Or if you don't denounce what you believe in, you're not going to be able to buy and sell, because you're going to have to denounce whatever that you believe in. Okay, and that's why the Lord has raised up the elect, that are not going to bow down to the image of Baal, even unto death. Okay, so that word again, that word accuse goes into the word the root word goes into agarra. Okay, for trials, for buying and selling. Yeah, which is the marketplace. That's why you see all these different stores that are closing down. Okay, because they're creating a siege, which is a military tactic to have the people inside bowing down to the system. Okay, this word, the word accuser, category, to accuse before a judge, to make accusation. And what are they going to make accusation of? Okay, us they're going to charge us with again, extremists, radicalists, right? Where a man shall be offender of the word, because we're speaking against Esau Edom. We're supposed to be prophesying against Esau Edom and the wicked, against Mount Seir. Everywhere that he pitches his tent, we're supposed to be prophesying against Mount Seir. Okay, against our enemies, right? So you have. So I'm going to go into this word. So the Greek 58, right? The root word of categories goes back to the word agarra. Okay, assembly, especially a people, for trials and buying and selling. Okay, so they're going to be putting us in different categories, right? So when you go to Revelation, right, 13 and 16, okay, it goes right into the chip. right? Revelation 13 and 17. It says, and no man might buy or sell, except he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So the name of the beast is the revival of the Roman Empire, okay, which Esau, Edom is what is in power. Okay, that's the revival of the Roman Empire. America spearheaded the charge and NATO joined unto it. Esau, Edom. And the number of his name. The number of his name is what? The 666, the Chi Psi Sigma. The Chi, him anointing himself on the left-hand side with his pseudoscience, okay, that he is a savior, right? And then coming with his Chi, which is what his image, his 2030 agenda, justifying it through his science, through his technology, okay, through his doctors, right? And those that fall for the enchantments and fall for the sorcery, as far as bow down, they give consent. They're going to take the physical stigma, the chip inside the hand, the physical mark. Okay? But that word buy, yeah, you're not going to be able to buy food and water like you are right now. Okay? It's going to come to a point where you're going to have that chip inside your hand. Okay? The hour of temptation where they're going to be mandating it. They're already speaking about mandating a digital ID far as when you log on to your account, far as on the internet. They want to mandate you have a digital ID to identify everybody. May 7th, you have the real ID where they want to identify or you're not able to fly, far as you're not able to have certain luxuries unless you have a digital real ID, which is going into the gradualism of the chip. So agorazo, right? G59. To do business. So if you're a huckster, you want to sell everything, then you're going to have a chip inside your hand. Okay, this is the point right here. You go to the root word, the etymology, the study of the word, the truth of the word. It goes back to the same word that was in Revelation 12 and 10, that word accuser. Okay, it goes into categories, and you go to the root word. It goes back to this, agora, the Greek 58.
Strong's G58, agara.
Okay. An assembly, especially of people. So the same thing we just read in Revelation 12 and 10, that word accuser, goes back to the same thing in Revelation 13 and 17. That's why the Lord has given the hopeful elect, that oil to be able to go into these works, to be able to go in the Greek, the Latin, and the Hebrew. Okay, to be able to get a better understanding. Okay, and that's through the grace of the Lord. So assembly, especially of people. Those are those 193 countries that have consulted together to bring in the digital cooperation, to push the carbon emissions, to push the carbon allowance, to push biometrics, to push facial recognition, to push, pay with your palm, pay with your hand, pay with your face, right? To push these certain things, scan and go. Okay? So for trials, you're going to be put on trial for what you believe in. Okay? If you believe in Yahweh Shema Shai, you could be beheaded. Okay, you could be put into prison just for your beliefs. That's why you have to count the cost. Okay, but the Lord is not going to leave his true servants alone. He's going to be with them. He's with them even to the uttermost parts of the earth, which is here in Babylon the Great. For trials, for buying and selling. So you're not going to be able to buy and sell unless you have that chip inside your hand. Okay, so let's go back to this. Revelation 13 and 16. He calls it all, both small, great, rich, and poor, and free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. He calls it, who calls it? The revival of the Roman Empire. Okay? The revival of the Roman Empire, which is what Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. America spearheading the charge and NATO joined unto it. Okay? He calls it all, both small, great, rich, and poor, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. So what did he say in the video? He spoke about the chip being inside the hand. Okay? He kept, pointing to his hand, right? So Esau, Edom is going to form a society, poeo, which is to form into fashion, to make. So they're making these semiconductors. They're making these, they're taking over whole cities, right? They're getting the lithium. They're getting the technology, as far as the best scientists in the world, to be able to bring out their artificial intelligence, okay? They're getting all these, these minds of the, as far as of the world of the science, the artificial intelligence, to be able to build their system, okay, which is their New World Order, Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is on the back of their dollar bill. Produce, construct. They are fashioning a society, cutting off the dollar bill, okay? It's like you're cutting off the dollar bill, okay, and bringing in with their digital currency, a CBDC, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. It's all money that you can't be able to touch, that when the grid hits, or a certain event happens, they can be able to take away all your money, so you're left helpless. Then they're going to offer what, a UBI, universal basic income, and what, this devil shall help in vain, because ultimately it's going to come with the price, and that price is going to go into what, that chip. Okay, you bowing down to this devil and being pierced through, right? So Pueo to constitute, they're going to put it in their legislation, okay? And they're going to make it with draconian. They're going to mandate it. Why? Because of all the things going on. Even right now, they can lock down the cities, okay? And that's what we're waiting for, is what? For that button to be pushed, okay? And they're going to, carry it out. They're going to carry out what, them being like a madman sparing none, okay? The rape and rob and pillaging of the people, going into everybody's house and taking them out if you don't believe. As far as if you don't believe in their New World Order. To carry out, to execute, okay, to perform, right? They're going to be performing these actions on the people, okay? And we're seeing, that's why you see the upwards of the people. People are what? Vexed, okay? To receive. So you have people that are going to receive what, that chip inside their hand. Okay, receive, to give. What are they giving you? Are they giving you sin, or are they giving you a physical chip so you can be able to buy and sell? They're giving you a physical chip inside your hand or inside your forehead, the brain implant or the chip in the hand. To give to something to someone, yeah, bestow a gift. And what? A gift destroyed the heart, because it's what? A gift of decay. Okay, one's accord to give one something, an advantage. Yeah, so that's why people are going to take it, because they think that it's an advantage. That they have an advantage. Say you don't have food, you don't have water, you take that chip, now you have food and water. You didn't have safety for your family, now you took that chip, now you have safety for your family. So these are the things that they're going to be showing. Okay, they might even show where your family is on the other side, where they got the chip, basically showing you a video, when you're locked up, right, in different FEMA camps or whatever. They'll show you a video of your family. Hey, we took the chip, you take it too. So many people are gonna fold because of their families, trusting in a woman, trusting in their man. Okay, that's gonna lead you to destruction, because you have to trust in Yahweh Shemashai to grant, give one asking, to grant access to those cities, because all hell is gonna be breaking out, and then they're gonna offer what these green zones or these 15-minute cities as what? Safety nets. Okay, but it's all gonna be what? To deceive. Yeah, to give one to one's care, to entrust, commit. So you have to commit by what? Taking that chip. Because again, far as bringing us to the FEMA camps, but they're not going to physically hold you down and take the chip. It's going to be people giving consent, people running down to the chipping centers, because there's a great perplexity upon the earth, right? To give what is due, abagor. Let's get this word. And it says what? Wages. Okay, what are they going to be offering? Wages of what? A UBI, universal basic income. Obligatory, required by legal. Legal, by their laws. You're legally going to have what? That chip inside your hand if you want to be able to buy and sell. Prescribed, through their legislation. Okay, beautiful. Mandatory, required by law. Okay, going into their constitution. Okay, if you're required by law, if you want to be able to receive any type of money, right, to have that chip inside of you. Okay, and they're going to furnish it with you. Okay, it'll probably be free, like they did with the juice. It was free, and you see what happened. To give one to someone to care for interest, right? To grant one, permit one, because they that give consent shall be trodden down underfoot. The people are going to give consent. By the left, they're not going to bow down to the image of Baal. A mark, right, which is the actual RFID chip, the charagma. Okay, the RFID chip, right, the chip inside the brain or inside the hand, a stamp and printed mark. So they want to brand you as their cattle. Okay, because that's what they see you as, worthless eaters. They see you as nothing but cattle, as nothing but slaves. Okay, now they want to make it official by putting that chip in you, because those that take the chip, they're not going to have no rest in a night, ulcer or cancer, and then the missiles upside their pate. Okay, so a mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand. So the forehead is what? The brain. When you go into the word forehead, it goes into the Greek word metapon, okay, which means the face. And when you go into the root word of that, it goes into what? Meta. okay, which means with, after, behind. So what's behind your forehead? The brain implant, okay, that graven image. Okay, the badge of the followers of the anti-Messiah, 1 John 2:18. There's many anti-Messiahs. There's many people that are forming their own unrighteousness. Okay, they have a zeal, but not according to the understanding of the Lord. So there's many anti-Messiahs. If you don't have the Lord's true name, you are anti-Messiah. If you're saying Japheth is the so-called white man, you are anti-Messiah. Okay, the mark branded upon horses. So again, they see you as what? Cattle. So they want to what? Brand you. Things carved, sculpted, graven work. So that word graven, when you go to Leviticus 26:1, it goes into the Hebrew word pashwa, okay, which means hewn or cutting. So they want to cut that chip inside of you to be able to implant it inside your skin, right? Where they're able to scan you, and then what it will pop up, all your, your biometrics, your carbon emission, right? Your social credit score, right? Everything will be on that. And then your digital ID, a UPC, scan you like a universal product code or a QR code, okay? And then what will pop up is what your information, your work history, right? Your health records, right? Your financial history, right? Everything will be on that chip. So that's how they can be able to identify each and every person, okay? An adulterous image. And if you take it, you're an adulterous image, okay? You would be a badge of servitude, okay? You would be a badge of servitude, right? Let's look that up. Yeah, badges, right? Incidents of slavery referred to lingering effects, manifestation of slavery beyond its direct legal existence as defined. Yeah. So again, they want to do that again. That's what Make America Great is. Okay, they want to put you back in slavery, back with that yoke. Now we are in captivity, okay, but in slavery, right, over here in America, right, we had that yoke around our neck, which is part of the curses. So now they want to put that digital yoke, inside of our hand or our forehead, okay. So a badge of servitude refers to a legal, right? It's legal through what their legislation, Isaiah 10:1. Social restriction imposed on a person, particular based on race, ethnicity, okay, that limits their freedom and opportunity. Yeah, so you can't believe what you want to believe. So your freedoms and opportunities often mirroring and reinforcing the effects of slavery. Yeah, putting you in slavery. Okay, we're already in captivity through a myriad of different contracts, like the Apostle Gabar always says, the driver's license, the birth certificate, the social security card. These are all ways to identify who you are. Okay, when a cop stops you, or right, what does he ask for? Your ID. Okay, so now they would just be able to scan your hand or your forehead, those that take the chip. Okay, showing you that you're part of slavery, because they can just take that chip and shut you off. They can shut all your money off, right? Because that's what we're headed to, is that those that, with the bank account, they can be able to cut off the bank account, bringing in a digital society, bringing in what the New World Order. Okay, because that's what part of the Great Reset is crashing the whole dollar bill and bringing in what the new currency, which is what digitally. Okay, so they can be able to watch everybody, put a badge of servitude on the people. Okay, to identify each person, right? And that's what that graven mark, okay? That's what that sculpted figure, etching, scratch, etching. So all signs of what is physical. Okay, you go to the root word karax, right? Which is the actual point to a kin. So that is the syringe they would use to be able to put that chip inside your hand or your forehead. Okay, a pail or a stake. So in ancient times, they would dig a ditch, okay, cut down trees, sharpen the edges, and basically make it where the person couldn't go in and out unless the person that was forming the siege allowed them to. So in this case, Daniel 12:4, knowledge has been increased. So now they can be able to do that digitally. Okay, you're not going to be able to go into that city, because when they scan you, you don't have a chip inside of you. Okay, they can be able to lock you up, because again, they're draconian measures, right? They're martial law. You have to follow what they say. Okay, you won't be able to go into that city. So that's going to lead to more people to take that chip, because all hell is going to be breaking loose everywhere. Okay, and they are forming that the time of Jacob's trouble, because they are the executioner on the left-hand side of the Lord. Okay, so military mounts, so their government, okay, their military, right, coming in. Trump has spoke about martial law, You know, there's already national emergencies in certain areas, and all it takes is what them to push that button, okay, and lock everything down. That's that military mount, their government, okay, for circumvaluation and a siege. So a siege is a military tactic to what? Cut down resources, okay, where you're not able to go to the store. You're not able to do certain things that you once were doing, right? What is a siege? A siege is a military operation in which an enemy surrounds a city. That's what they're doing. They're surrounding what these cities that we're in. Okay, by cutting off the food, cutting off the water, cutting off jobs, surround the city, a fortress, isolating it from the outside world, and cutting off its supplies to force its surrender. Yet cutting off the supplies, which are the food and the water and the shelter, because the new interim chairman, Peter, right? He's already said that he wants to that water is a privilege. So they basically want to charge you for water. Okay, what did Carl Schwab say? You will own nothing and be happy. And to what? Eat the bugs. They don't even want you to eat everyday food. Okay, so that's what they're doing. They're creating what? A siege. Okay, that if you don't bow down to their system, basically, that you're not gonna have anything else. But we have hope in Yahweh Shema Shai, because the Lord has given us this great truth. So you go to the root word grapho. Okay, this is all part of the RFID chip, right? Grapho, to write with reference. So everything is now being written on what? Digitally. Okay, which you would have with your information on it. So when they would scan you, those that take the chip, they would scan you, right? All your information would come up, all your data. Okay, and what they said in the Davos meeting, that the new data, okay, or the new oil is data. Okay, is everybody's information, because you could be able to manipulate people by people's information, because again, they're outlawing anything that, any type of beliefs that you have that are against the regime. Okay, and they're taking your data, facts provided, learned about something. So this would be your biometrics. Okay, the word data, similar word, facts or statistics collected together for reference or analysis. Okay, and this would be your biometrics.
According to NIST Computer Security Resource Center, National Institute of Standards and Technology. Definitions: a measurable physical characteristic or personal behavioral trait used to recognize the identity or verify the claimed identity of an applicant. Facial images, fingerprints, and iris scan samples are all examples of biometrics.
Okay, facial recognition, which goes into what the forehead. Okay, that goes into what the face. That's why you have facial recognition where they're scanning. That's why you have iris scan. They're scanning your eye, but it's also a form of what them scanning your face, going into the brain implant. Okay, the fingerprints, which is going into what? To the hand. You have palm vein biometrics, okay, where you put your palm on there and they're able to scan it. Ultimately, that's gradualism to that, that physical chip. Okay, so this is ways to be able to track and trace you. Right? That would be what, and again, going back to the, I'm in the word Mark in Revelation 13 and 16, and we're in the root word of Mark, which is grapho, okay, which is the information that they would have, your data, okay, your driver's license, right, your social credit score, your ESG, everything would be on that chip, those that take it, okay, and the word forehead, right, that's why you have metaverse, pay with your face, Apple Vision, Ray-Ban Meta, right? Because it's all gradualism to the actual physical brain implant. Okay, the word forehead, metapon, okay, the face, right? And what's behind the face? Okay, meta, with, after, behind. So behind the face would be what? The brain implant, right? And then the guy say in the video, right? Let's see if it plays now.
But there are some concerns about this digital ID, because according to a lot of reports, the World Economic Forum is going to use this for social credit scoring and carbon allowances. So, for example, in this report by the World Economic Forum, titled Advancing Digital Agency, they speak about digital IDs. Now, why is this important? Because in this report, they mention how in the future, digital IDs can literally be placed within your body. literally embedded in your body, devices, homes, and cities. So digital IDs will be a part of everything. They will literally put it inside your body. So that way they can track almost everything that you do, that you consume, that you say. And according to the WEF, they want to put it in your body. And the World Economic Forum's digital ID will encompass every aspect of your life. Yes, listen to
Okay? And that's what they want to do. That's the heathen rage and the imaginary thing. Their vain thing is a new world order and having what the chip inside the people's hand and their forehead. Revelation 13:16, he calls it all, both small, great, rich, and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. Okay, who's causing it? The revival of the Roman Empire. Okay, which is what? Esau, Edom. Okay, America spearing the charge of what NATO joined unto it. They're causing it through their constitution to carry out, to execute it, to have all these nations following what the beast is doing. Okay, to receive a mark. That mark is, again, physical, in the right hand, pay with your palm, or in the forehead, the brain implant, Neuralink. Okay, and that no man might buy or sell, that if he had the mark or the name of the beast, so you're not man, woman, and child. Okay, rich and poor. It doesn't matter who you are. If you want to be able to buy and sell, you have to have that chip inside your hand or your forehead. That no man might buy or sell, so if he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom, let him man understanding count the number of the beast, for his number of a man, and his number his 666. And that man is what? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Okay, and the beast is the revival of the Roman Empire. Okay, for as the number of a man, his number is 666. And so they're showing their symbolism with that 666, the Chi Psi Sigma. Okay, when you look at Google, okay, you're able to see the sign of this devil. Okay, I'll look it up just to show you.
According to Wikipedia, in modern popular culture, 666 has become one of the most widely recognized symbols for the Antichrist, or, alternatively, the devil. Earnest references to the number occur both among apocalypticist Christian groups and in explicitly anti-Christian.
Because I just want to show some okay, so right here. So you have the Google symbol, okay, which is a symbol of what? The 666. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Okay, cut right here. Because what does it say? It says what? Satanic symbols. Okay. So in CERN, right? In CERN, and what are they doing with CERN? They're digging into the earth. Okay, they're trying to conjure up what? Demons. So in the CERN, right, you have the 666 when you look at that. Okay? In the Google, you have the 666, right? In Apple, okay, you have the biting of the apple, goes back to the serpent, goes back to the garden. Your biting of the apple of the philosophies. Okay? Yeah, this is a better one. Okay, you have what? Google Mail. Okay, them showing with the Masonic sonic symbol. Okay, you have what? Masonry, right? And these different symbols. Slocky, let me see if they have any. And they push it through what their legislation. Okay, you'll see them throw up the vehicle pipe. Yeah, so right there, you'll see them always throwing up these certain symbols. Okay, Proverbs 6, right, speaks about that. You see them throwing up these symbols. You have the Pope. You know, if you see right there, that the Pope right there throwing up these different eyes. They're showing who they're alliance with. Yeah, Trump does that all the time too. Okay, and this is what your leader. Okay, this is the leader of the so-called free world. You see him constantly throwing, every time he does a speech, he'll throw up that. Okay, because people think that he's against them, right? But what are they doing? They're throwing up the 666. They're throwing up who they worship. Then they use these idols to do it. Okay, these guys are not all in Peru. Okay, these these guys are what following what the satanic customs. All these different celebrities. Okay, look at you have the Pope. Okay, right, throwing up that. Why is that? Because they're showing who they worship. Okay, who they're down with. And again, going into Google or going into Chrome. People use this every day, but they don't know what that means. Okay, but that's Esau Edom, what hiding himself. But the Lord has given us the mysteries to be able to see this devil. Okay, you have it in Walt Disney, right? As you see right there, you have it in Walt Disney. You have the 6, the 6, the 6. You have it in Monster, the 666. Okay, right? And also, I remember Pedo Joe, when he was coming out, he said, "I don't care if it takes six days, 6 weeks, or 6 months, right? We're gonna get it done." And he was speaking about basically the pushing of their agenda, the New World Order, right? So we get the point. Okay, so that's them showing themselves. Okay, and John the Revelator is giving us wisdom of what the 666 of Esau Edom, the Chi Psi stigma. So their Chi is what them anoint themselves that they are the savior through their science and technology, and their Chi is what them pushing their enchantments and their sorcery, pushing their image, man on man, woman on woman, bestiality, pedestry, and those that fall for it are going to take that physical stigma, okay, which is the RFID chip. Okay, a mark branded upon body to ancient Orient, so usage slaves and soldiers bore the name of the stamp of their master or commander, branded, pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general belonged to. Okay, so those that take that chip, when they scan you, what pops up? Your biometrics, your UPC code, your QR code, okay, your number, showing you that you're what? A badge of servitude, that you're part of what? Their system. Showing what this right here, the recognition of ownership. That's why it's so important to what go into these words. Okay, like the apostles have taught us through what the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, because you get a way better understanding if the Lord's supping with you. Recognition of ownership refers to an acknowledgement, acceptance of someone's claim to be owner of something. So you acknowledge it, so you bow down to it by taking the device. Be it physical object, a legal entity. Yeah, so this is physical. Okay, that they want to put inside your hand, that scar or that cutting, right? That graven image. Yeah, so social recognition. This involves a community or society acknowledging and accepting someone's claim to ownership. This can be based on established laws and customs, even social norms. So this is becoming what a social norm. Okay, because they are working on the minds of people by gradually bringing it in through what their different devices, by saying something's good, but it's actually evil. Okay, so Revelation 13:18, here is wisdom, let him add understanding, count the number of the beast, for his number of a man, and his number is 636. Because ultimately this devil is going to be what? Carried headlong. Okay, he's going to be in the fatness of his sufficiency, he's going to be in straits. Job 5:12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty. So devices are evil intent, and that's what they have for the people of the crafty. Yeah, the wiles of the devil, they're coming with their science and their technology, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Their enterprise is a new world order, because the Lord is going to what? Disappoint them. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Yeah, the wise of this world. Of the craftiness, the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. They're going to fall flat on their face. Okay, they meet with darkness in daytime and grope in the noonday as at night. Yeah, so they're meeting in darkness, right? Devising iniquity, right? And then they can be able to bring it on the people later on. Micah 2:1. They devise iniquity upon their bed when the morning is light. They practice it because it is the power of their hands. So they grope at the noonday. So they grope at what the hottest point of the day, where they can be able to actually push this on the people. Okay, but But he saveth the poor. Who saveth the poor? Yahweh Shema Shai. We are the poor, but we are rich in faith. From the sword. So Esau, Edom, when he comes in like a flood. From their mouth, yeah, because they're going to say that we're coming with slander when we're just speaking the truth. And from the hand of the mighty. And so the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth their mouth. Yeah, so that we have hope in what Yahweh Shema Shai, that the Lord's going to stop what Esau Edom from what his from his teeth, which is his military. Okay, when he comes to what comes in like a madman sparing none. 17. Behold, happy is the man whom my power correcteth, therefore despise not thy chastening of the Almighty. So right now we're being chastised so we're not condemned with the world. Okay, and we are happy that we're being corrected, because that's the Lord showing us love. For he maketh sore and binding up the wound, and his hands maketh whole. So the Lord's making us whole with Yahweh Shema Shai by giving us sound wisdom, making us whole. 19. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. So the 6th trouble would be what? The hour of temptation, where Esau Edom mandates that chip. Yeah, in 7th there shall no evil touch thee. So 7 going into completion. So in what that time of the that sixth trumpet is blown, right? The hour of temptation, right? Yahweh Shema Shai is going to save us in the 7th. Okay, but we have to bear that cross. We have to endure to the end. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and war from the power of the sword. So when they cut off the food and the water, right, the Lord's going to redeem us from what? Death, which is Esau Edom. And in war, from the class wars, the civil wars, the time of Jacob's trouble, from the power of that sword. Again, that sword is the modern day gun, Esau Edom. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, yeah, from that slanderous tongue, because they're going to be calling us extremists, radicalists. We're the ones to blame for everything, right? Neither shall they be afraid of destruction when it comes. Yeah, we're not going to be afraid when destruction comes, because we know that the Lord's with us, even to the uttermost parts of the earth. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shall they be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Okay, so when destruction comes and famine comes, we're going to be laughing, because Yahweh Shema Shai is going to be with us. Okay, so let me end it right here. This is John 16 and 33. John 16 and 33. These things I have spoken unto you, that you might have peace in the world. You shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Yeah, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Okay, going into what? Trusting in Yahweh Shema Shai, because he is our light. Psalms 27 and 1. The Lord Yahweh is the light of my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord Yahweh is the strength of my life. Whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though a host or army should encamp against me, in my heart, my mind shall not fear. Though war rise against me, in this I will be confident. One thing desired of Yahweh that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahweh all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahweh, to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble, the time of Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, he shall hide me in his pavilion. Okay, a safe place, in the secret of his tabernacle, which is this knowledge, wisdom, understanding. A tabernacle is a house, the household of David. The elect, the remnant. Shall he hide me, shall set me high upon a rock, going into what Yahweh Shai being that rock, set us high upon that rock, beaming us up in the chariots from what? The destruction that's going to be coming down for those that took the chip. 6, and now shall my head be lifted up above my enemies, going into beamed up in the chariots, above my above my enemies round about me. Therefore I will offer in tabernacles, right? Tabernacle goes into a house, sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yeah, I will sing praises unto Yahweh. Okay, because that's what we're praying, to be able to endure to the end, to be what? Singing the song of Moses. Revelation 15 and 2. And I saw as a sea glass mingled with fire, and them had gotten the victory over the beast, the revival of the Roman Empire. Okay, which is what? Esau Edom. Okay, America sparing the charge of NATO joined unto it. And over his image, yeah, his philosophies. We didn't bow down to his science, his technology. Okay, his 2030 agenda, his system. And over his mark, we didn't take his physical mark. Because those are the hopeful elect. They're going to have the victory over the beast, over his image, and over his mark, his physical RFID chip inside the people's hand, over his name, over the number of his name, the 666, the Chi-Psi Sigma, stand on the sea glass having the harps of the Most High, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of that power, the song of the Lamb. The Lamb is Yahweh Shai. And who was given the song of Moses? The children of Israel. Okay, going into the only one that's going to be in those chariots are the children of Israel, but the Israel of the Most High, okay, which is the elect, the remnant. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of our power, the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, thy Lord, thy power. Almighty, just and true are thy ways, thy King of thy saints. So with that, call Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Kakadash. Shalom to the elect. Kwame Shalom. Let's go.